Members, good morning. It's the appointed time and we have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. This is a meeting with the Ombudsman, Mr. Jack Chen. On behalf of the LegCo, let me first welcome Mr. Jack Chen, the Ombudsman, Mr. Kenny Tang, Assistant Ombudsman, Ms. Sally Kand, and Ms. Carmen Yu for attending the meeting. The Ombudsman attaches a lot of importance to the communication between the Ombudsman Office and the LegCo. So he led 3 of his staff members here. The purpose of this meeting is for the Ombudsman to brief the LegCo on the work of the Ombudsman Office and to allow the LegCo and the Ombudsman Office to discuss matters of both of our concern. If I may remind members, this meeting is not protected by the LegCo Power and Privileges Ordinance Chapter 382, and we are not going to go into individual cases. First item, briefing by the Ombudsman on the work of the Ombudsman Office. Before the meeting, the Ombudsman Office has prepared a PowerPoint, which has been sent to the members. I hope that the Ombudsman will keep the presentation brief so that we can have more time for questions and answers. May I first invite the Ombudsman to give us a presentation. If members would like to put questions, please press the request to speak button. The Ombudsman, over to you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members. I'm glad that I have the opportunity today to brief members on the work of the Ombudsman Office together with 3 of my colleagues. In 2024, the administration and the office responded to the motherland's expectation to stay bold and reform, dare to break new ground, to innovate continuously. We have formulated 3 strategic focuses. First, enhancing mediation to swiftly solve public complaints. Second, foster interdepartmental collaboration. And third, cultivate a positive complaint culture. In this year, we have resolved 555 cases by mediation that involve minor maladministration or maladministration, which is an all-time high. Complainants in general want the Ombudsman Office to solve their problems. The office has responded to the people's demand to resolve cases swiftly. I remember Mr. Lam San-kun, Ms. Eunice Hong, and Mr. Chen Xiu-hong were concerned about the processing time of complaints. Mediation is able to allow the complainants and the relevant parties to solve problems swiftly. The average lead time for concluding a complaint by mediation is 10.87 days, compared to a regular handling of complaints, which is 3 to 6 weeks. It is much shorter. The complainants and participating departments and organizations share their feedback through questionnaire survey. Over 97% of the respondent complaints and participating departments were satisfied with our mediation service. Over 98% were satisfied with the performance of our mediators. Last year, Ms. Doreen Kong and Mr. Chan Chen-ying were concerned about the training that we offer to our staff on mediation. We will continue to take forward our training. We are going to subsidize our staff members to take relevant courses. Currently, 100% of our investigation officers have undergone training, 89% have pursued advanced training, and 4 of them have attained professional accreditation as mediators. The office would appraise the officer's mediation performance and outcomes as key criterion for consideration of promotion or contract renewal. Under the 106 departments and public organizations under the ordinance, they have appointed a mediation coordinator to deal with requests for assistance, which we consider suitable for mediation. Mr. Yang Wen-kit and Dr. Andrew Lam asked about interdepartmental collaboration in the last meeting. I think that Effective collaboration among departments is crucial to achieving efficient, people-oriented public administration and governance. During the year, the office completed 3 direct investigation operations and processed 141 complaint cases involving interdepartmental collaboration. We found that our intervention had positive impact on 4 major areas. First, clarify demarcation of responsibility. Second, help department understand the crux of the matter. 3, enable direct communication among departments. And 4th, facilitate information and experience sharing among departments. We have shared good people and good deeds on our website so that people can have more understanding of our work. Please refer to the example set out in Annex 2. On promoting positive complaint culture, Dr. Teck Chi-yun this year asked about our promotional campaigns. Through exchanges, public education, commendation schemes, exchange meetings, we encourage members of the public to give us feedback. We also encourage government departments and public organizations to serve the public with open-mindedness. During the year, the office extended the education initiatives on positive complaint culture from secondary to tertiary institutions. A total of 13 seminars were organized for university, tertiary institutions, and secondary schools. We have also organized 13 sharing sessions and seminars for government departments, public organizations, and mainland entities. Under the annual Ombudsman Award scheme, we have added the new Information Technology Application and Creativity Award and Customer Service Award. I thank Ms. Carmen KAN for asking us to add a new award on individual public officers. That's why we have introduced a dual-track commendation scheme to recognize government departments and public organizations and members of the public. We issued 41 appreciation letters to 16 departments and organizations and presented 19 appreciation certificates to members of the public for contributing to the improvement of public administration this year. The office has established or is actively preparing for the establishment of the Hong Kong International Ombudsman Academy to instill the concept of complaint prevention in public officers. The Academy will promote international exchanges and cooperation between the office and the ombudsman institutions worldwide. Last year, Mr. Chow Siu-chung, Ms. Carmen KAN, and Mr. Lau were concerned about our investigative work. I thank Dr. So Chen-wing and Mr. Stanley Lee for asking about refuse recovery, water seepage, and private columbarium matters. Direct investigation operations involve matters of significant public interest indicative of suspected systemic problems. I will go into the details of our DI operations later on. After full investigation, we are going to give recommendations to government departments. We have made a total of 254 recommendations within this year, including 145 in DI operation reports and 106 in full investigation reports. The total number of recommendations soared by 37% compared to that of the previous year and hit a record high in a span of 5 years. The office helps government to streamline procedures and enhance effectiveness. I'm glad that the government departments and public organizations have taken on board all of our recommendations. Let me give you some examples. Our DI operation into the government's regulation of occupational safety and health in construction industry is the most extensive, in-depth, and elaborate in recent years. Mr. Chow Siu-chung asked about this DI operation last year. We have made a total of 40 recommendations for improvement covering 9 areas to safeguard people's lives and property. The chief executive attaches a lot of importance to the report, and that's why this year a working group led by the Chief Secretary for Administration will thoroughly review the recommendations in our DI operation reports to ensure proactive implementation. And on the 9th of May this year, in response to invitation, the Ombudsman met the Chief Secretary for Administration, the Secretary for Civil Service, and relevant senior officers to deliberate on the findings and analysis of the Office's investigation into the government regulation of OSH in the construction industry. Separately, two DI operations of public housing series, namely the government's work in combating abuse of public housing resources and the government arrangements for recovery, refurbishment, and relocation of public rental housing flats are particularly influential. We have made a total of 31 recommendations. As for the recovery, refurbishment, and reallocation of PRH flats, we have made a total of 19 recommendations. The most poignant topic among the DI operations completed during the years must be the government's provision of public services relating to after-death arrangements. This has sparked community concern. We have made a total of 10 recommendations. Apart from direct investigation operations, the office conducted a full investigation into complex cases which appear to involve issues of principal, serious administration, so on and so forth. We have handled 40 complaints that were concluded by full investigation. 57.5% of the cases were substantiated, partially substantiated, or unsubstantiated with other inadequacies found. Starting from last November, I asked the office to put forward our observations to departments, organizations after concluding a case by inquiry, presenting our views or suggestions as regards any inadequacy or area for improvement, or give positive comments. We have made a total of 106 observations during the year. During this year, there was a 13-year-old junior secondary school student who told us that a device for visually impaired persons for crossing the road was damaged. We conducted a follow-up action very immediately. There was a senior person aged 105 was disgruntled or aggrieved by the CSSA or OALA application process. We followed up on the case with the departments. There was a tetraplegic person who complained about the work of a relevant government departments to the ombudsman. We then offered help to the relevant person. Starting from April this year, we have initiated a phased reorganization of the office to flexibly redeploy available resources to better perform various important functions. This is in response to Mr. Junior's Ho's concern. We have streamlined our directorate establishment from a 3-tier to a 2-tier directorate structure by freezing the vacancy of deputy ombudsman. Instead, 3 assistant ombudsmen, all reporting directly to the ombudsman, are appointed to head 3 major divisions, namely the Complaints Investigation Division, the Direct Investigation Division, and the Complaints Assessments and Support Division. The number of direct investigation teams have increased from 2 to 3, and complaints investigation teams be reduced from 6 to 4. And we have also increased the staffing for complaint assessment to play a gatekeeping role, and we have reduced establishment of administrative and support staff. We have reduced our expenditure on staffing by $6 million. We adhere to a strategy of structured training and internal promotion to cultivate a contingent of experienced, competent, loyal, proactive, and self-motivated investigation officers. We seize opportunities for exchanging and sharing experiences with international counterparts, present to global audience good stories about Hong Kong. To commemorate our 35th anniversary, we hosted the inaugural International Ombudsman Summit 2024. The Deputy Commissioner of the National Public Complaints and Proposals Administration, Director General of the International Cooperation Department of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, National Commission of Supervision, and Liaison Officer attended the summit. Around 140 overseas and mainland participants from nearly 40 countries and regions across 6 continents, including a multitude of ombudsmen, over 30 consuls, and senior personnel from more than 220 international bodies and regional organizations, including the International Monetary and World Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and the Office of the European Union attended. The IOS 2024 closing ceremony and the Ombudsman 35th anniversary reception ceremony was held on the evening of the same day. The office signed and exchanged a memorandum of understanding on bilateral cooperation with representatives from 8 countries and regions across 5 different continents. The Ombudsman is the secretary of the Asian Ombudsman Association. Starting from this year, the Ombudsman is appointed as the member of the UN and International Cooperation Working Group and the chairman of the Standing by Laws Committee under the International Ombudsman Institute. The Ombudsman was also appointed to the board of directors of the Australasian and the Pacific region of the IOI. Within 2024, we also visited the Beijing to meet with Deputy Secretary of the CCDI and the Vice Chairman of NCS.
I will now report on the key figures. The office received 8,221 inquiries and 4,402 complaints on various topics. We completed processing 4,664 complaint cases, among which 3,009 were closed after assessment and 1,655 were pursued and concluded. The top 3 causes of complaints during the year were similar to those before. Depending on the nature and complexity of the cases, the office will handle the complaints received and screened in by way of mediation, inquiry, and full investigation. The office exceeded all the 11 targets of our service standards. As for the way forward, we will continue to focus on mediation and enhancing collaboration to address public grievances. Our preparation for establishing the Academy are in full swing. Its first exchange session on mediation is scheduled for the 25th of August 2025. Our firm belief is prevention is better than cure. The Academy will continue to instill the concept of complaint prevention in public offices to enhance their vigilance and avoid maladministration. This also marks a significant milestone of the office in driving positive change in public administration. The office will also step up DI operations and provide concrete recommendations. We will also put forward effective recommendations and observations to improve public administration through enhancing efficiency. Now, we will act in accordance with the relevant legislation and play the gatekeeping role to screen in cases pursuant to the ordinance. We will ensure that each complaint will be fully scrutinized to ensure they are properly handled and there will be no omissions. We'll also continue to tell good stories of Hong Kong to the global community. On the positive complaint culture, under the Ombudsman's Award, we will introduce the team awards in addition to the existing individual awards to recognize the outstanding performance of teams and to encourage team spirit. We'll continue to adhere to the principles of independence, objectivity, and impartiality without fear or favor and strive to ensure that Hong Kong is served by a fair and efficient public administration. We will also foster interdepartmental collaboration to enhance social adhesion so that people's sense of happiness and gain can be enhanced. That concludes my presentation. We welcome questions from the floor. Thank you. Thank you, Ombudsman. 8 members have indicated they wish to speak, starting from Chow Siu-chung, Chen Ying, Chen Siu-hong, Stanley Lee, Andrew Lam, Starry Lee, Doreen Kong, Yong Hao-yan, Kok Wai-kang, and myself. In the interest of time, I will give each member 3 minutes question and answer, please. So please stick to the 2-minute rule when you put your questions and allow the Ombudsman to 1 minute to reply because we still have to deal with 4 issues. Members, if you want to speak, please press the button as quickly as possible. I'm going to draw a line very soon. Mr. Chow Siu-chung. As mentioned in the paper, 254 recommendations were put forward. All have been accepted. So the work of the office is highly acknowledged. And I also appreciate the office's work, as mentioned before, in relation to direct investigation. The Ombudsman has been able to monitor the work of departments and identify loopholes and gaps. So I think through their investigation efforts, we'll be able to enhance public administration. I have a question on paragraph 18 and 19. I understand that the Hong Kong International Ombudsman Academy will be set up. Now, one of the objectives is to enhance the professional capabilities of our staff and promote exchanges and cooperation between the office and ombudsman institutions worldwide. Can you elaborate on this? Can you tell us roughly how much money is involved and what manpower support level of manpower support is needed. The next question is this: in 2024-25, 390 complaints were received relating to other institutions. Now, can you tell us what departments or institutions are involved? Is it because these institutions are not on the list of Schedule 1 that you're unable to look into the matter? Will you conduct a review on a regular basis to update the list in the schedule? The other question is this: we're concerned about the manpower level in the Ombudsman's office. I understand from last year's reply that there were a dozen vacancies. Have these vacancies been filled? What about this year's establishment? Have the vacancies been filled? The Ombudsman. Thank you, Mr. Chow, for the questions. The first question is about the Academy. There are two objectives, one of which is to provide internal training. It trains not only the Ombudsman's office but the staff in 106 government departments and institutions. We invite their staff member to receive training in our academy so as to instill the concept of prevention is better than cure and complaint prevention in public offices, so as to guard against maladministration. The ultimate goal is to handle public complaints properly. On fostering international exchanges, we're going to step up our efforts in collaborating and exchanging with international institutions. There will be exchange and sharing of information and experience. We will also make use of this platform to tell good stories of Hong Kong. As for the relevant expenditure, I can guarantee that no additional expenditure is involved. This is to be absorbed by the internal resources. To answer the third question, sometimes members of the public are not clear about our terms of reference. We can't act beyond the 106 government departments and institutions. But sometimes the complaints involve, for example, airline companies and other commercial organizations, and we'll refer these cases to the Consumer Council for follow-up. Now, as for the third question, indeed we have vacancies. We have rolled out the recruitment exercise and successfully recruited 9 investigation officers this year. Now, I do have the strong feeling when I first assumed office that there was a lack of proactive training for staff in the Ombudsman's office. I don't think this is the best way to manage the office, and that is why I believe in the progression pathway within the Ombudsman's office. We need to build a team of staff that are capable, committed, and patriots. Mr. Ronnie Chan, for successful mediated cases, the figure was 555, up by 3 times. So this deserves our appreciation. As I understand, there is the post of mediation officer set up for 106 government departments. For officers in the Ombudsman's office, they have all undergone training. Will you consider arranging training for these mediation officers in respective government departments as well, so as to enhance the effectiveness of mediation? The next question relates to office reorganization. I support the streamlining of the establishment from a 3-tier to 2-tier directorate structure. For the post of Deputy Ombudsman, however, the term used here is that is freezing, is not an abolition of this title. So it means there is still a chance of reviving this post. Will you consider rephrasing this statement? The next question is that for the direct investigation teams, the number will go up from 2 to 3, whereas the number of complaints investigation teams, it will go down from 6 to 4. Now, I've looked into past data. There could be a perception that the office will be very selective in launching investigation according to your own liking. Whilst I agree with your investigation efforts, how will you convince the public that there is the need to increase number of direct investigation teams and hence more manpower to support that? The Ombudsman. Thank you for the questions, and we have achieved some very satisfactory results in taking forward mediation. And apart from initiating this effort, we also encourage government departments and the public bodies to step up their efforts in mediation, including the setting up a dedicated post of mediating officer. And all appointments have been made. We keep close liaison with the 106 officers. Now, the academy will be commissioned in August. The first course will start on 15th of August. We will invite the 106 officers to join our training. So the next question is about streamlining the directorate establishment from 3-tier to 2. These 3 assistant ombudsmen will report directly to me. In the long term, should we scrap the middle tier? Well, at the moment, I don't think time is right for us to consider that. Perhaps we will observe the development in the coming few years to see whether we should have a 2-tier or 3-tier directorate structure. Well, now, indeed, we conducted 8 direct investigations last year. We had 148 recommendations. In the previous year, we launched 10 investigations, but we only made 106 recommendations. So that's up by 40. Like Mr. Charles Chung said, that we conducted the most in-depth investigation last year about occupational safety and health. We also plowed through 90,000 pages of documents. That's roughly the size of a football pitch. So we're going to expand the direct investigation teams from 2 to 3. As for the complaints investigation teams, because of the streamlining of procedures, we can consolidate the teams from 6 to 4. And as I said in my opening remarks, I will personally screen and scrutinize each complaint to make sure no omission is made. The Legislative Council plays a very important role. We have dedicated officers viewing legislative debates. We understand that in the past 3 years, 1,888 questions were put in the Legislative Council, 300 of them put orally and the rest in written form. We analyzed the relevant topics to find out what members are most concerned about. We've also made reference to some 230 plus motion debates. Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chan just explained the work of the Ombudsman in the past year. We acknowledge the Ombudsman's office's work as set out in the paper. In terms of non-delivery of public services, unfair treatment, or maladministration, the Ombudsman plays a pivotal role of gatekeeping. This is the channel of redress. I'm concerned about office reorganization. To echo what Mr. Ronik Chen said, I commend the Ombudsman for streamlining the establishment from 3-tier to 2, and that there will be an additional direct investigation team, whilst the level of manpower for handling complaints will remain the same. However, despite the many complaints received many years, many of these complaints are on a repetition. That means government departments may have committed the same mistakes. I'm concerned about manpower. For investigation work such as internal audit, sometimes manpower will be seconded from the departments to help out with the investigation. In terms of the experience and academic qualifications requirements, have you considered the secondment of civil servants to join your investigation teams? This will provide professional support to your teams. On the other hand, when these officers work on secondment in your office for 2 or 3 years, they will have acquired sufficient knowledge and experience, and by the time they return to their respective government departments, they will have this DNA in them, and they will have learned the culture, and then that will help in handling complaints.
Ombudsman, thank you. That's a great suggestion. That's what we're doing. For DI operation and full investigation, we don't just rely on our own. We often collaborate with the relevant organizations and departments. We collect information and data from the relevant departments, and we allow them to explain themselves. So this is a two-way investigation. And throughout the inquiry, the department's staff would know what the process of an investigation is like. Mr. Chen gave us a very good suggestion. When we establish the academy, we will engage more departments, and we'll look into whether we will invite officers from other departments to work here on secondment. Some of our retired officers were recruited by government departments and public organizations because they want to improve their service. We will consider your suggestion when we establish the academy. Mr. Stanley Lee. Thank you. Madam Chair, I thank the Ombudsman and his colleagues for preparing this very succinct and concise report. I believe that members of the public would recognize the work of the Ombudsman and the good governance of the administration. Now, speaking of public governance, I have two questions. On interdepartmental and organization collaboration, there are four major positive impacts made by the office. Now, on demarcation of responsibilities among departments, I come across cases where interdepartmental collaboration is required. After the office has clarified demarcation of responsibilities among departments, will a, say, mechanism be formed among those particular departments? That's my first question. Second, and under suggestions, Chapter 24, it is said that the public organizations and departments have taken on board all of the recommendations of the office. But I wondered why these departments and organizations did not improve on their own in the first place. After you have given them recommendations, I wonder if the relevant organizations and departments continue to implement your recommendations. The Ombudsman. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for the question. The answer to both questions is yes. Through interdepartmental collaboration, we try to demarcate clearly the responsibilities among different departments. We try to institute a institutional change in the relevant departments. The departments have to give us sufficient evidence substantiating that they have made relevant improvements. before we confirm that they have implemented our recommendations. As to whether the departments and organizations will implement our recommendations in various aspects of their work, as mentioned, we often try to instill a systemic change in the departments, and that's the criteria and approach that we adopt. Take the OSH case as an example. The 40 recommendations are not targeted to just the contractors involved. The relevant departments has to implement the change across their bureau and departments. Mr. Andrew Lam, thank you. I'd like to also ask about interdepartmental collaboration. We noticed that, as mentioned in your PowerPoint slide, there is often no experience and information sharing among different departments and bureaus. I hope that government departments and bureaus will step up information and experience sharing. We talk about information technology these days, but in terms of application of IT or usage of data platform, there is deficiencies, and the office often detects such deficiencies and lacking in the government departments. I wonder if the office has looked into the connection of data platform among different departments to see if there is any room for improvement. I wonder what plan the Ombudsman has to use IT and relevant data platform to streamline the work. The Ombudsman, please. Thank you. Information sharing is very important. When we conduct DI operation and full investigation, we put forward our recommendations not only to the departments and organizations involved, we also publish our recommendations on our website and through our social media so that different departments and organizations will get hold of such information. When we establish the academy, we are going to publish relevant information on interdepartmental collaboration. On the use of IT, we use that when we conduct our DI operation and full investigation. For the 3 direct investigation operation, one of them has to do with after-death arrangements. We ask the relevant departments to create a one-stop platform, an online platform, to allow the bereaved to handle all of the after-death arrangements on a single platform. We have various websites for that, but then the relevant families of the deceased has to access different websites to apply for different services, and that's very inconvenient. As for OSH, the reason why there is so many problems with scaffolding is because of the government's not using information technology. If the plans are uploaded onto the website, then there will be better implementation of the plans. As for land registry, it has to do with the plannings department and the lands department. If they collaborate more closely, then issues can be solved more swiftly. Recently, we have been trying to streamline our online complaint platform. Because 1/3 of the complaints are submitted online to us, we are now trying to create a user-friendly forms on our website so that the information entered can be verified automatically. to make sure that the address, the name of the department are accurate. We make use of AI to verify the information entered by the complainant. Ms. Doreen Kong. Thank you, Madam Chair. I recognize the efforts of the Ombudsman on international connections. I hope that the Ombudsman will continue with the efforts. I have a few questions. First, according to your work report, over the past 3 years, the number of inquiries have dropped from 9,200 to 8,200. For those that could not be followed up on, is on the rise. They are some 1,800 and 1,200. For cases without sufficient evidence or cannot be followed up on because of the ordinance, is it because the members of the public don't have enough information or good enough of understanding of the ordinance? That's why they submit such cases and complaints. According to your report, I see that there are 4 departments that are subject to complaint the most, including FEHT, LCSD, HD, and the Transport Department. For FEHT, there were 350 cases and some 29 cases were substantiated. For departments that were complained a lot, how will you follow up on it? Will you conduct a systemic inquiry against these departments instead of just follow up on individual cases? The Ombudsman, please. Thank you. I thanked Ms. Khan for her recognition of her work in terms of international connection. There were some cases that were on the rise and some cases that are on the decline. We don't have a KPI on the number of cases that we should follow up on. Some of the cases we cannot follow up. That's because we are constrained by the ordinance governing us. Some people submit complaints that we have no purview on. Some people complained about organizations and institutes that are overseas. We have no power to investigate into these cases. As I mentioned, some people thought that the Ombudsman can investigate into everything. Some people are not happy with the reservation arrangement of airline company. Some people are grieved by banks canceling their credit cards. I think that this shows that some people don't really understand our work. We will step up publicity and public education to make sure that people understand that we target maladministration and the 106 departments under our purview. Some complainants just gave us comments. They gave us they told us how they're unhappy with the overall environment in Hong Kong. When we reached out to them, they were not able to give us or pinpoint a particular location where the hygiene was not good enough. There were 4 departments that were subject to a large number of complaints, but that does not mean that those departments are underperformed. It could be because these departments are in touch with the members of the public very often. That's why they are complained more often. The reason why we reduced the number of complaints investigation teams from 6 to 4 is because we have a dedicated team for each departments that are subject to more complaints. We have stepped up communication with these departments. We offered them training. We're not seeing that these departments underperform or perform very poorly. It's just that because they have they're in touch with the people.
殷議員。
Next, Ms. Eunice Yong. Thank you, Chair. I acknowledge the work of the Ombudsman's Office, especially on promoting mediation at the district level. Likewise, we encourage members of the public to resolve disputes through mediation. And likewise, the government departments should make greater use of mediation to address public grievances and resolve complaints. We've seen some very good results. The number of cases successfully resolved through mediation have gone up. And the report also mentions a number of government departments resorting to the avenue of mediation successfully. And these government departments are the subjects of complaints. So my question is whether there are government departments which are still reluctant in resolving disputes through mediation. And as a result, public grievances are not addressed efficiently. Of course, we learn from the report some departments have turned to mediation and have achieved a high success rate. My question is on government departments not yet resorting to mediation. The next question is this. According to the report, 26.9% of cases involved an error in the decision process or in the opinion. So government departments should have regard to these figures in reviewing their internal processes and improving the public handling, complaint handling mechanism. So how are you going to explain these figures to government departments? Say, this year in particular, if you have over 20% of cases involving a wrong decision or an error, it's rather serious. The goal should be to drive down this rate as much as possible. The third question is in relation to full investigation. I see that for cases involving some departments, such as the Buildings Department, many of these cases are substantiated. For other government departments, these cases are usually not substantiated. Now, for the Buildings Department, especially for water seepage cases, the number of complaints, the complaints are usually substantiated. I think that the Buildings Department should have regard to the figures and also the public's complaints against the water seepage situation. So you should actively follow up on these matters with the Buildings Department. The Ombudsman. Yes, we have been explaining to the public as well as government departments the merits of mediation. At first, government departments are quite reluctant. They don't have 100% faith in mediation because they are concerned that ultimately the government departments will be found to be at fault. But mediation is not about fault finding. It's about resolving disputes. So in the end, government departments are able to take mediation as a means of resolving disputes. In some cases, we understand that the situation could become tricky. There could be a civil claim later on, and it may not be suitable to try mediation at this stage. And other than these circumstances, the majority of government departments are willing to use mediation because definitely it takes a shorter time and less manpower to resolve disputes. As for the number of substantiated complaints for full investigation, 57% of them are substantiated, partially substantiated, or not substantiated but with inadequacies identified. For inquiries, about 15% of the inquiries are substantiated. As for this old-standing livelihood problem of water seepage in buildings, in fact, the Chair, Ms. Dari Lee, have urged us to work harder, and we've launched a DI operation on water seepage, and we may do another full investigation in the future. Mr. Kwok Wai-kun, I thank the Ombudsman's Office for their hard work in the past year, in particular. The recent OSH investigation or DI operation, the result is an inspiration for our industry. Now, be it the government departments, the CIC, our labor unions, the construction sector unions, they find the results encouraging. Despite strengthened inspection efforts by the Labor Department, systematic inadequacies have yet been identified, and on this occasion, the report has disclosed some inadequacies. My question is this: about the recommendations, especially on works supervision and inspection of construction sites. Will you explain the recommendations to the Labor Department so that they will have a better grasp of the inadequacies involved system-wise and technology-wise, and adopt a better vision? And also for the recommendations, I am told from the paper that the government departments have accepted all the recommendations. But does it mean that all these recommendations will be implemented to the full? My third point is this: from the user's perspective, as long as a user puts forward some useful recommendation, the user should be commended. For the purpose of fostering a positive complaint culture and addressing the risk aversion culture. Chairman, my last point is this. On its own initiative, the Ombudsman's Office has initiated a reorganization. I think this is an inspiration for other departments. But what is more important is not just about streamlining of workflow, but the reallocation of work. Thank you, Chair. Now, for the recommendations which have been fully accepted, I can say that it's not just about giving an undertaking orally. Accepting the recommendations would mean implementing them, because it involves evidence, it involves the issuance of a circular and directions from the heads of government departments. As for the award scheme, we have a dual-track system. We appreciate the efforts of not only government departments but the complaints lodged by users. In fact, last year, Ms. Carmen KAN also made a similar suggestion. And after we showed appreciation, members of the public are satisfied. Their public grievance has been addressed, and the Ombudsman has acknowledged their efforts in making the complaint. One example is the northbound travel for Hong Kong vehicles, especially about renewal applications. The Transport Department usually sends SMS and emails to the license or the permit holders to remind them about the renewal application. But very often these emails would fall into the junk box of the user's account. Now, the complainant suggests that instead of sending emails, the Transport Department should send short text messages, because we usually check our phones but not our email messages. The department has taken this suggestion on board, and as a result of this suggestion or complaint, public administration has improved. Next, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok. A point of information, Chair. The Ombudsman is given a wide array of powers. It can launch investigation against any organization listed in Schedule 1 of CAP 397. The last review of this schedule was in 2018. Do you have a policy to regularly review this list under your scope to make sure that necessary additions are made in a timely manner to help you fulfill your statutory duty? The second point is this. According to the Ombudsman, the recommendations put forward have been accepted by government departments to the full. But I have a feeling that these government departments are still passive. They just receive recommendations. Is there anything that can urge them to review their own practices? I think it is important that a proactive mechanism be put in place to review the internal processes, and this mechanism should go hand in hand with the Ombudsman's efforts. My next point is this. The Ombudsman has told us about interdepartmental collaboration. But very often we see the problem of departments passing the buck from one to another. So, in your experience, Ombudsman, can you tell us why this remains an untackled, long-standing problem? And do you have a good solution for this problem? Ombudsman. Thank you, Chair. About the list of scheduled organizations in CAP 397, at the moment there are 106 organizations. This list responds to any change in government departments or institutions. As for public institutions, we started with 11, now it's gone up to 27. The latest addition was the Financial Reporting Development Council in 2018, and also Property Management Service Authority. As for the next point, guarding against maladministration, as Mr. Lai just now mentioned, this is exactly what we're working on this year. Our target is not just about identifying maladministration. We want government departments to be proactive in preventing maladministration. It's just like graft busting. So this will be the message to be disseminated by our academy. As for interdepartmental collaboration, indeed, there is a lot to be decided, but at least starting from this term of government, we've seen a lot of improvements, and we've seen the team spirit at play. One example is the mailbox in remote village areas. They are usually installed at really remote places. It takes half an hour's time to drive to this mailbox. Now, according to the Hong Kong Post, it is really resource heavy to visit the village every day, and the villages are really accommodating. They allow letters to be delivered once a week or even once every 2 weeks at the entrance of the village. Now, with the help of the district office as coordination, the problem of using private lot to install mailbox have been solved, and this is a very satisfactory result.
一個環節。
It's my turn. I recognize the work of the Ombudsman. Under the leadership of the Ombudsman, we see that the office has been reorganized and there's been promotion of training in the office and international collaboration. I'd like to know more about the actual situation. As mentioned by the Ombudsman, you are going to establish a Hong Kong International Ombudsman Academy to provide comprehensive training for government departments and public organizations. That's a great move, but does that mean that you are not just training your own staff, but also other government departments and public organizations' staff? I'd like to know more about this. A second, on international connections. Apart from organizing the International Ombudsman Summit and visiting other countries, what other plans do you have, and how are organizing and visiting these countries helpful to your work? Third, I'd like to ask more about water seepage. I know that the office has conducted DI operations on it, and however, the issues still persist. So how can you better help people who are suffering from water seepage? Thank you. I thank the Madam Chair for recognizing our work regarding the International Ombudsman Academy. We are not just helping to train our staff, we promote the professional capabilities of also the government departments and public organizations. On the 25th of August, we are going to organize our first exchange session to share with relevant staff of government departments and public organizations the insights and best practices for handling complaints through mediation. We will cover the topics on interdepartmental collaboration, hopefully in the future, also under our courses, so that governance efficiency can be enhanced. As for the content of our international exchanges and collaboration, it covers the various areas. We share experience with other countries. We try to look into whether there is any room for improvement in our own mechanism. Is there anything that we can learn from other countries, for example? At the same time, we can also share our experience with other ombudsman institutions. More importantly, we'd like to have other countries also know that we have an ombudsman in Hong Kong that has a fair and honest system for people to lodge complaints. This is how we can tell good stories of Hong Kong. Third, water seepage is a significant issue, is a long-standing problem that we have in the city. As mentioned, we have conducted 2 DI operations on the issue. Perhaps we will leverage on IT and encourage interdepartmental collaboration to solve the problem. Water seepage problem may be here to persist, but hopefully with our explanation, the complainant would be less grieved. The most important thing is that we explain to the complainant the root of their problems. We cannot, for example, just break into the premises above the complainant to investigate into the source of the water seepage. We have to understand, well, we have to ensure that the complainant understand the legal constraints that we have. The most important thing is to solve the problem. Thank you. I hope that you will continue to look into how you can ask government departments to be more proactive in solving people's problem. I have a suggestion regarding your training. I think that you should invite LegCo members who are interested to know more about your work to attend your courses because they represent people in their respective constituencies. That's it for this item. We move on to the next one now. Discussion items raised by members. I suggest that we combine all the 4 questions for a consolidated discussion. There are 4 members who have submitted questions, including the mechanism of direct investigations of the Office of the Ombudsman raised by Ms. Carmen KAN, matters relating to railway incidents raised by Mr. Stanley Lee. And then Mr. Teck Chi-yun also raised questions regarding functions of the Office of the Ombudsman, and Dr. So Chen-wing asked about issues on interdepartmental collaboration. I will first ask Ms. Carmen KAN to tell us her questions, and then I will ask also Mr. Stanley Lee to put his question. I will put the questions of Dr. Teck Chi-yun and Dr. So Chen-wing on their behalf because they are not here today. Thank you, Madam Chair. The question that I submit before the meeting is the mechanism of, well, it's about the mechanism of direct investigations of the Office of the Ombudsman. I asked about the direct investigations is because that's something that is close to my heart. The Ombudsman Ordinance empowers the Ombudsman to conduct direct investigations into matters notwithstanding complaints not being filed. I noticed that the Chief Executive is also very much concerned about the DI operations conducted by the Ombudsman. He read the report. He said that he read through the audit commissions and the Ombudsman's reports. If there is repeated mistakes and errors being made, the head of the departments and organizations should perhaps be held responsible. I've looked into the DI operations you've conducted. In 2023-24, you conducted 10 such operations. That's the information in the FC, and 2024 there were 8 DI operations. They are about matters that people concern. For example, after-death arrangements and the OSH of the construction industry. You said that we should prevent complaints. But according to my observation, I know that you have made 100-odd recommendations. That's a rise of 74% from the year before. However, for civil servants and principal officers, how are they held liable for the errors and mistakes of the departments? The government departments and organizations have accepted all of your recommendations, but how are the recommendations reflected in the work of these departments and organizations such that we can prevent complaints in the future? I know that the Ombudsman met with the Chief Secretary for Administration, Secretary for the Civil Service, and relevant senior officials to deliberate on the findings and analysis of the office. So I understand that the senior management of the government attaches a lot of importance to the report of the office. Would the Ombudsman first respond to this question, and then I will ask Mr. Stanley Lee to put his question. After that, I will ask the 2 questions from the other 2 members, and then I will ask other members to put their questions. The Ombudsman, please. Thank you. Direct investigations is an important part of our work because it helps us improve the governance of the departments and organizations. Last year, we conducted 8 DI operations. we have made 148 recommendations this year compared to just 100 odd last year. Our recommendations are targeted and concrete. We also ask the departments and organizations to implement our recommendations. As to how we come up with cases for direct investigations, well, first of all, we look into the complaints that we received. We receive about 1,000 complaints every year, so we know what issues are of people's concern. Second, we also monitor the meetings and debate of the LegCo. As mentioned, we noticed that in the past 3 years, there were 1,888 oral and written questions. There were 133 motion debates. Because what LegCo members' concern are what people care about. And we also know what departments and organizations were involved in the motion debates. So we look into what issues the LegCo member concerned the most, and that's how we determine what direct investigations we're going to conduct. Third, we also monitor reports of the media. We try to understand what people are discontent about. These are the 3 sources of our information. After that, we will accord different priorities to different issues. Our priority is livelihood and economy. Say, for example, OSH, it has to do with people's livelihood. We're going to conduct investigations into slope management that has to do with safety, road maintenance and repair that also has to do with people's livelihood. For issues that are rather vague and theoretical, we accord a lower priority to them. That's our direction. We welcome suggestions from the members. Thank you. I think that apart from the annual meeting that we have with the office, the members can also give the office suggestions on other occasions. Ms. Carmen KAN. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a quick follow-up question. Apart from the maladministration you identify throughout your direct investigations, we welcome you making recommendations against the problems. But we are also concerned about the civil servants that should be held liable. Should they enjoy a pay rise every year? I think that you should also issue warnings against officers who have made mistakes. Thank you. That's a comment. The Ombudsman, any response? We thank Ms. Khan for her follow-up question. Our responsibility is to find out the root of the problem, make recommendations, and identify any maladministration. We ask the relevant departments and organizations to implement our recommendations. As to whether there was any follow-up action, well, that's the decision of the relevant departments and organizations. Thank you. Second topic, matters relating to railway incidents.
Mr. Lee, thank you, Chair. My question is a matter relating to railway incidents. I think it's common knowledge that railway forms the backbone of Hong Kong's public transport. But this year, we've had a spate of railway incidents, such as the one in February, in April, and also the one involving Chang Kwan O Line on the 22nd of May. Now, it shows that there is a need to review the supervision system. The EMSD has implemented the comprehensive and direct assessment since 2019, which involves proactive auditing on the 4 major railway assets management. That's permanent ways, power distribution systems, rolling stock, and signaling systems of the MTRCL. There have been incidents this year. There have also been incidents in the past few years when the EMSD is responsible for the regulatory work. When there are inadequacies in regulation at the highest echelon, there will be problems lower down. As a member of the public and as a legislator, I have expectation for the EMSD to exercise proper oversight, especially after an MTRCL incident has happened. The MTRCL should take remedial action. So my question is whether the Office of the Ombudsman would look into how the EMSD initiate investigations. Second, in relation to the monitoring mechanism, is it kept up to date? In the past, EMSD might monitor A, B, and C, but now, because of the new railway design, the EMSD should monitor much more than just a few items. The MSD is tasked to give oversight. It is responsible for handling and preventing such incidents from arising again, because as mentioned, the railway system forms the backbone of public transport in Hong Kong. And for the Chang Kwan O Line incident on the 22nd of May, it affected all residents in Chang Kwan O, close to 500,000 citizens. Of course, there is also the compensation mechanism, and that the MTRCL offered compensation by way of an extra free ride for residents. Apparently, the MTRCL agrees that it is a serious incident. My point is the Ombudsman should also make sure that the MSD has proper oversight. Right, if we take a look at the DI operations conducted in the past 10 years, 98 DI operations were conducted, 11 of them related to public transport. But I do admit that we haven't done any DI operation on railway. The MTRCL is not the list of the 106 scheduled organizations under CAP 397. The MTRCL is a privately operated company. It is not within our scope of supervision or monitoring. However, other parties such as the EMSD Transport Department or even the Transport and Logistics Bureau are subject to our oversight. So if need be, we'll launch a full investigation as well as direct investigation into railway-related matters. We take a very serious view about the regulatory authorities, such as the recent OSH investigation. We targeted the Labour Department as well as the Construction Industry Council. They're responsible for monitoring workers and contractors. So we need to make sure that their regulatory efforts are up to standard as well. So in relation to the railway incidents, we note the comment. We'll go back and give it a thought. Mr. Stanley Lee. Well, in short, I'm not suggesting an investigation right away, but at least we can invite the Ombudsman to talk to the EMSD that members have expressed their views on the regulatory efforts. So would you at least do that, to talk to the EMSD? Madam Chair? The Ombudsman's office launches direct investigation, or we conduct full investigation when warranted. So we'll definitely relay this message to the government department. But as I said, our target is not just about conducting investigation. Our objective is to guard against maladministration. So if it's likely that maladministration has taken place or will take place, do let us know. Right, about what Mr. Stanley Lee said, this matter is close to the heart of every citizen in Hong Kong. The MTRCL, however, is a listed company in Hong Kong, so it's not within your purview. Still, the EMSD is, and there is a mandate for EMSD to monitor the MTRCL's service provision. So please note Mr. Lee's comment and relay the views to the government department. Dr. Junis Ho would like to speak as well. Is it related to these two issues? Thank you, Chair. I have high hopes for the work of the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman enhances social cohesion and social harmony. Cap 397 regulates or targets 106 scheduled government departments and organizations. But if need be, I think we can enhance the legislation to cover more public bodies and quangos or quasi public organizations such as the MTRCL. The other question is mediation. Now, I have high hopes for mediation as well. I think this is the perfect platform for both parties to settle a case, but the drawback is that the mediation outcome is not legally binding. So against the backdrop of the establishment of a headquarters of IOMED in Hong Kong, the government should take the lead in choosing mediation as a means of resolving disputes. As the Ombudsman, you have influence. You can facilitate the use of mediation, because after all, not everyone is suitable to take this avenue. But at least you can first write down a set of facts. Let's not waste time. And you can also put down both parties' position. Point number 3, tell us what the differences are. It may not be legally binding, but at least time has been spent. You should make sure that efforts are made at least to encourage them to settle through mediation. You're not a judge or mediator per se, but you have the statutory authority. You have influence. Right, Dr. Junis Ho, in fact, your point relates more to do with part 1. So just allow me to give 3 more points. To foster social cohesion, enhance social harmony, and enhance the possibility of resolving disputes. Right, this relates to part 1. Any response, Ombudsman? I thank Dr. Junis Ho for the questions. He put forward a very good point. I fully acknowledge this observation. I want to emphasize that last year, 555 cases were successfully resolved through mediation, and we were able to help others. And I'm especially touched by this case. There was a complaint involving a daughter would like to visit the father in an elderly home. She was rejected. She lodged a complaint. and we sought an understanding into the situation. Well, the daughter was put on the no visit list because the father was angry with the daughter. So that no maladministration was involved because the daughter was rejected because of the father's anger. But through mediation, we had a better understanding of the father's position. The father was still angry with the daughter. So through this elderly home, we facilitated communication, and then the daughter took the video clip saying that she'd like to visit her father. The clip was shown by the elderly home to this father, and ultimately the father forgave the daughter. The matter concluded successfully, and it was very touching. Right, going back to the paper, other members, including Dr. Teck Chi-yun and Dr. So Chang-wing, have asked questions. Members may wish to ask follow-up questions. Dr. Teck Chi-yun would like to ask questions about the functions of the Ombudsman's office. A. Will the office consider expanding the statutory purview to cover more organizations? I think the question is similar to the one asked by Mr. Stanley Lee. He earlier asked whether the more organizations such as the MTRCL will be included. Dr. Teck Chi-yun would like to include universities and educational institutions as well to enhance transparency and accountability. The second part of his question is this: given that the recommendations of the Ombudsman are non-binding on government departments, will the office consider taking forward legislative exercise to make its recommendations legally binding, thereby enhancing the efficacy of its oversight of government departments and organizations concerned? C. How does the Office of the Ombudsman plan to enhance its public education, such as through innovative publicity in collaboration with educational institutions, so as to more effectively promote public awareness of the statutory purview of the office? Dr. So Chang-wing's questions are about interdepartmental collaboration. I agree with the question as well. The administration is often found to be inefficient in interdepartmental collaboration, an issue that remains unresolved fundamentally. Take the private columbarium amendment bill 2024 passed by LegCo on the 21st of May 2025 as an example. We took part in this debate as well. Over a span of 7 years, only 13 licenses and 5 exemptions for private columbarium have been granted, leaving a backlog of 77 pending applications. This is partly due to the duplication and fragmentation of policies, which means overlapping and entangled responsibilities among the Lands Department, Buildings Department, the FSD and FEHG, etc., leading to lengthy approval processes and a lack of effective coordination mechanisms. I think even worse is that there is no decision maker. Departments keep passing the buck to each other. These are indeed many similar examples which have hindered social progress of Hong Kong. The office probably knows this well. Does the office have any solution? I invite the Ombudsman to give a reply to the questions of Dr. Teck Chi-yun and Dr. So Chang-wing in one go. I'm sure these issues are close to the heart of our people as well. Thank you. As set out very clearly in the CAP 3, in the legislation, our mandate is to address public complaints and conduct investigation on this basis. We also conduct direct investigation. Now, the outcome of investigations will be given to government departments. They are required to accept and implement our recommendations. If they fail to do so, according to the ordinance, we can submit the recommendations to the chief executive. And that means these recommendations must be implemented, and we'll make sure that there is no delay. According to statistics, on average, our recommendations were implemented in 10 months. Now, once they've accepted the recommendations, a report will be published. And once they've accepted the recommendations, they would be implemented in 10 months on average. So we're not too worried about additional power for the Ombudsman to work more effectively. I don't see a need at this moment because judging from historical data, we achieve 100% implementation of the recommendations. And even if it doesn't happen, we have another avenue. We can report the matter to the Legislative Council and the Senior Council. Now, to answer the other question, whether we can include more institutions in the list, if it is an advisory body, not within the executive, then it's not within our purview. We look at public institutions and public bodies with executive functions. We also consider, for example, whether public money is involved. If we're talking about a private entity running on private funds, according to the basic law, the rights are protected and it's not for the Ombudsman to step in. So these are among the basket of factors that we consider. We do keep very close liaison with government departments if need be. We can add more organizations. So, for example, the AFRC was added and the list expanded from 11 to 27 now. We need to mount publicity, including publicity about our work and our efforts to guard against maladministration. Well, we need to enhance the public's understanding of our work because indeed we receive a lot of complaints about the banks, financial institutions, and our service pledge is to give a reply within 5 days. So it poses a great pressure on us as well. On interdepartmental collaboration, as explained today, things are much better. The government departments work as one. So, as I've cited in these examples, a lot of government departments were willing to collaborate and work in unity in order to meet public demand. But of course, there is always room for improvement. This is exactly what we will look at in the next round of DI operations and food investigation.
I have some follow-up questions. Can the Ombudsman confirm whether they can expand their statutory purview to cover universities or other educational institutions? What procedures will you have to go through? You said that 100% of the recommendations have been taken on board. That's why you're not going to amend the legislation. We all recognize that the office has to enhance public education. I'd like to follow up on Dr. So Chen-Wing's question. This terms of the government is result-oriented. We know that many projects, new projects, have been rolled out. Dr. So gave us a very good example. We participated in scrutiny of the Private Columbarium Amendment Bill. Many private columbarium have similar complaints. When they file the application, the government departments ask the applicant to go through different departments to solve all their problems. Only 13 licenses have been granted over the course of 7 years. Some issues raised by the relevant government office is rather minute and minor. I think that is unreasonable to ask the applicant to solve all the questions and issues raised by various different government departments. This is not just about the Private Columbarium Affairs Office. Many departments have the same problem. Will you conduct DI operations against these cases? Because when we have so many such issues that actually undermine our reputation and image, I have a simple suggestion. The responsible department should be the final decision maker. My feeling is that many departments try to pass the buck and they try to obtain the approval and consent from different departments before they grant any licenses or exemptions. I think that we should set a time pledge or KPI for the time within which the departments has to make a decision. The Ombudsman. Thank you. I fully agree with you. There is definitely room for improvement in different areas. We're going to focus on livelihood and economic issues when we conduct our FI and DI operations. Sometimes the reason we lag behind is because of cumbersome procedures that we have within the government. In the business sector, with so many procedures and processes, it actually undermines our development. Our regulations should be targeted. We ask not just the governments to step up their efforts, we also ask them to streamline their procedures. We hold responsible departments liable. For land administration, for example, it involves the Planning Department and the Lands Department. Sometimes the title of the land is not clear. We ask the two departments to decide among themselves who is responsible for the particular piece of land. If they cannot resolve the dispute, then we ask them to escalate the matter. And the heads of the departments should make a decision as to which department is responsible. If not, they should escalate the matters to Chief Secretary for Administration. So removing barrier is one of our goal in improving governance. We don't work on theoretical issue. I look forward to your work. Mr. Stanley Lee and Ms. Carmen Kan have some follow-up questions. 3 minutes, please. Mr. Stanley Lee. Thank you. Madam Chair, I agree with what the Ombudsman said. This term of the government has improved interdepartmental collaboration. But according to my observation, there are still issues. For LegCo member and District Council member, we have to teach ourselves what is under the purview of which department. If we don't know, say for example, which road is under what departments, then we would be asked to ask around in the departments. So I have a suggestion on this point. I see that the Ombudsman is determined to improve interdepartmental collaboration. The senior management of the government is very committed, but we don't know what happens in the next term or of the government. I think that the office should create an internal administrative guidelines for the government. With such a guideline, we can update it from time to time to cater to different problems. We can include illustrations and examples of previous cases. Because you said that 100% of your recommendations have been taken on board and accepted. You have your own power. I know that it's hard for you to formulate this guideline, but with this guideline, then the government departments, public organizations have something to follow. The Ombudsman. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a great suggestion. We will look into the possibility of it seriously. This is how we can also prevent maladministration. With a guideline or simply a recommendation, we can reduce the possibility of maladministration and clearly demarcate responsibilities among different government departments. That's also the goal of the academy that we're going to establish, Ms. Carmen KAN, and then Mr. Hon Carmen. Thank you, Madam Chair. I completely agree with what you said. I wonder if the statutory purview of the Ombudsman can be extended to cover more organizations such as universities or the MTRCL. In page 15, the Ombudsman said that they closely monitor the development of public organizations and departments, and they may include more departments and organizations under the ordinance from when there is any update. I wonder if you need the assistance of the LegCo, or can you just amend the schedule on your own? The Ombudsman. Thank you. We work very closely with the administration. We consider any suggestions made by the government, and they also consider our recommendations. The list of organizations and departments in this schedule is updated from time to time. As I mentioned, there's a growth from 11 to 27, and in 2018, we included AFRC. Member asked if we should cover, say, MTRCL and universities in our schedule. We will look into it. I wonder which department is responsible for deciding on the list. Well, the administration is the one to decide on the organizations under the schedule. I think that the administration as a whole is responsible, because for universities, maybe EDB will be involved. For railways, perhaps TLB should be engaged. If members have any suggestions, you can relay them to the administration or the Ombudsman office. The Kowloon Railway Limited is on your list. I think that you have to review it. What is the process of amending the schedule of the ordinance? Well, I believe that the administration perhaps should be responsible for that, because there is request in the community and the LegCo that we should perhaps update the schedule more often. The Ombudsman. Thank you. Regarding the Kowloon Railway Company Limited, well, that used to be a government department, and later on it was privatized and the MTRCL was established. Currently, this company owns assets and property, is no longer in operation, however, is still on our schedule. Ms. Carmen KAN. I don't think that this is ideal. Because now still Kowloon Railway Company Limited is still under your schedule and is still under your purview. I think that you should update it. Update the schedule from time to time. MTRCL is a large private organization. We have to be careful about that. I think that we have to strike a balance. I believe that you note the members' views. Mr. Hon Carmen. Thank you. In your PowerPoint presentation, you said that you have met all your KPIs. I thank you for your efforts. The reason why you exceed your target is perhaps because of overstaffing. Am I correct? I'm not asking you to reduce your manpower, but I have questions regarding your performance because very few departments are able to achieve such an outcome. I used to be a district councillor. Very often, the ombudsman rejected district councillors referring cases from the members of the public. You often ask the relevant complainant to file the complaint directly to your office. I'm not asking you to change your mechanism. I raise this point because I saw a lot of roads having pebbles on it after rain. And I went to Lao Fao Shan. I saw that many village roads were damaged. I sought help from the highways department, and I found out that the roads were fixed very quickly. I believe that there should be a contractor who is responsible for maintaining and repairing the roads. They are paid and they should monitor the roads conditions very closely. They should not rely on complaints from the people because damaged roads may create a bumpy ride. Thank you.
Right, that's his comment. Any response, Ombudsman? I thank Mr. Peter Chiu for his comments. Yes, we exceed all the 11 targets, but we don't have additional manpower. The actual headcount is 105. The establishment is 123, and we are demonstrating how we can still maintain the same efficiency with existing manpower level. Even with additional workload, we do not need additional manpower. Now, for the second point you mentioned, being district councillor, CAP 397 refers specifically to the complainant making the complaint himself if he is the aggrieved. He cannot delegate anyone else to do it for him unless there is a special reason. Now, Mr. Chiu also talked about tattered roads, road maintenance in general. This is exactly the DI operation we're preparing. Of course, it relates to transport and traffic in general and also road safety. Right, I'm the last to speak. If there are no other members who'd like to ask questions, and then the meeting will come to a close. I'd like to pick up on what Mr. Peter Chiu said. Now, for members of the public, they are not district councillors, they do not have the network. So when they see potholes on the roads, they call government departments, they ring 1823. Or they make a complaint to a TV program. Now, on one occasion, a member of the public told me that he drove by a place when he saw water oozing out from the ground. There must be a bursting of the pipe. So he rang the police station. His complaint was not addressed. He then called the FSD, and then the FSD told him that it's not within their purview, so he had to call 1823. He left his personal particulars. In the end, the complaint was not addressed, and it's really disappointing. Now, the Ombudsman just now said that in the event of road subsidence, you should ring the Ombudsman, but it doesn't seem to be the right avenue. Does the 1823 hotline fulfill the function? Because according to this citizen, he'd like to reflect the situation and be a good citizen. However, he made a lot of calls and the problem remained. So perhaps the Ombudsman should look into the role of the 1823 hotline. Now, if it's not urgent, I think it's all right to call 1823, but the example I cited was rather urgent, albeit no personal safety was involved. He tried to call the FSD, but he learned that it was not about fire safety, so 1823 couldn't help. The second point is this, about interdepartmental collaboration. I do hope that you give my suggestion a thought. I think the responsible department should make a decision within reasonable time frame. An incident may involve various departments. Some departments may have no comment, and that's the best outcome. But for some others, because the requirements are not fully complied with, the government departments may therefore extend the application. It is very inefficient, and there should not be incessant delays. The government departments should consider imposing a deadline. One of the departments should make the decision to avoid delaying the matter infinitely. Right, if there are no other views, I thank the Ombudsman and his office and the representatives for attending today's meeting. I also thank members for raising questions. I urge the Ombudsman to keep up with the good work. The meeting is adjourned.